How is everybody doing? This is a trial run for a first video that I would like to, not a first video, but a video that I'm putting together of a little tutorial of something that really kind of helped hit home for me. And I am putting this together in hopes that it will help other people understand something that I feel is not only something that I've either gone through or am currently going through, but in the understanding that there are probably other people out there experiencing not exactly the same thing, but something very similar or close to what I'm going to explain to today. So today's topic and subject is really kind of could be covered by a broad spectrum of things, but at the moment I don't really have a title for it or a subject line. But what it really stems from is a visualization in a dream, nonetheless, that came to me a couple mornings ago in the early morning hours of somewhat waking up. I usually wake up in the middle of the night, at least once a night, usually impacted by some sort of epiphany or a dream or some feeling that I get by waking up. I'm not always super clear on why or what it is, and I don't always remember what it is, but there are times that I do. This was one of those times. So, with that being said, I was given a flash vision of a picture of something and almost like an immediately clear understanding of something that I've been struggling with personally for quite some time. And the feeling and knowing that I was to put this together in a video to be able to help others understand this as well. For some reason, it has a bigger meaning to it. So I'm doing my best to convey what I understand now for myself, because I believe that it's clear that other people out there might need to hear the same thing or see it from a different perspective. Maybe that somebody else out there has done something similar, but at the same sense, we don't always grasp something from when somebody talks about it, but somebody else could convey the same exact message and it will make sense to somebody. It's kind of one of those mysteries of life, and understanding and listening and vibing with people. We don't always know why, but you could hear the same message from two different people, and one person you might be out in left field with it, and somebody else could tell you the same thing, and it'll click. It's just one of those things. So with that being said, this is the image, and as I draw it out, I'm going to explain what it means to me in hopes that it translates to somebody else, to giving value and understanding to somebody else, because we all are experiencing different lessons and learnings and things in life all the time, not just right now. More so, I believe now, because there's so much change in the air with all the unspoken of all the things that are going on with the mandates and the vaccines and the sickness and all these other things. And that's a whole different subject for a different day. I stand neutral in those positions. I'm not taking one side, and that this video is not about that, but I believe that there's more change in the air, and outwardly so, than there has been in quite some time. And I believe that change has a season, just like a lot of other things in our life. So for me, the image that I saw was fairly simple and straightforward, but what it comes down to is really the understanding of what it means and why it helped give me clarity as I've gone through a period of introversion. I think a lot of people have, especially right now. I'm getting ringing in my ears. But through those periods of introversion, I've really been able to connect and come to an understanding of different things and aspects and learnings of my own life, as I think a lot of people are. I have not been super keen on sharing these things, as of where I've been working up to the stance of doing so, but I have not taken a lot of outwardly action on some of the things that I've been personally experiencing by going inside. So what I saw was actually pretty simple, and it didn't really have a specific amount of circles or anything else like that, but what I saw was large circles like this, and we'll do maybe 4 for right now to make it simple. And these are all connected. And one circle here, that is you or me. And that might be a little hard to see, but what these circles represent is this is your direct environment. That is you personally and your core foundation, your home life, your job, your basic responsibilities on a day-to-day basis, whatever those may be. Everybody's circumstances are different. So you can only directly really influence starting with yourself first, and it radiates out from there to your partner, your spouse, significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that might be, or maybe you don't have somebody, your kids, your family, and but everything spirals out and radiates out from us. And then it gets broader and broader and broader as it goes out. So, but what I have been struggling with for many years is putting too much on my plate, as a lot of people maybe do, and stopping and starting different aspects of that. But what the basics that come down to it is I try to stack on myself too much at one time. And our energy goes where our attention flows. So there's a natural law called the law of entropy. And that law states that everything is consistently and always moving into a state of disorder. That's why we have to put our attention and energy into things to maintain it. Our relationships, our home, our jobs, all those things, all those different aspects. Maybe some of us wear more hats in our life and some of us wear less. I'm a dad. I have a job. I'm building a business. I'm a father. I'm a partner. All these things, these are different hats and different scenarios in my life. So if we have job, we have, say, wife, we have kids, we have friends or fun. Those are just a few examples. Each one of these things or aspects or hats that we wear in our life, we have different steps and different structures that each one needs to be able to maintain its capacity. And what that means is your job requires so much moving parts and pieces. You have, maybe you work a 9 to 5. Maybe you don't. Maybe you work 4 10s. Or you might do 5 days on, 2 days off, or, rotating schedule, a shift, whatever it might be, right? That, the schedule is one, the hours are one of the moving parts that make up the whole of that job. And then you have, the guidelines and the standards that the job would run by, right? So these are moving parts and pieces that make up the entirety of the job. Same thing goes for the relationship with your wife or significant other. Same thing with the relationship of your kids. These could be put into one if it was the entirety of your home. I kind of count that that's in your direct environment. But your direct environment has different aspects. You have the relationship with your significant other, if you have one, and you have the relationship with your kids, if you have any. But each one of these, your wife requires certain things to keep that relationship working properly. This might have more working parts and pieces than your job does. The same thing goes for your kids. You know, you might have 2 different kids, 3 kids. Well, each one is a different moving part and piece to the relationship of being a parent. So this could kind of be kids and being a parent role, hat that you wear in your life. So this might even branch out a little bit. But say one child, you know, it's pretty simple, easygoing. It's fairly easy to maintain that relationship. But one child, say it's a special needs child, just using that as an example, that might require a little more attention, a little more moving parts and pieces, or what have you. So, you know, if you had 3, that would even be more. You know, but each one of these requires something from you. Time, energy, sometimes obviously money, resources, things like that. And then you have this is kind of your time, your personal time. It's kind of part of this, but at the same time, this all ties back to you. But at the same time, this is a different aspect because we all need to have fun at times. All work and no play makes Norman a dull boy. Goes for everybody else. Yes, there are times to just grind it out and go, go, go. But there are also times that if you continue to do so, you will burn yourself out. And you need to rest, recoup, reflect, and all those things. And myself, I'm fairly decent at being able to know when I need those things and when I don't. Some people are probably better at it than others. Some people may just completely ignore that. And it might go on for a long time. But eventually, it's going to catch up to you. At least that's my belief. So, you know, this might be going out on a Friday night. This might be, you know, if you're in a regular, like a chess club or something like that, you know, that's a moving part and piece. You know, you go hang out with the girlfriends once a month or whatever it might be. That's a moving part and piece. And that can have a lot of different aspects to it. And then you might want to start a business, right? So we'll put business, or maybe that's a hobby. Maybe a start is starting as a hobby, but maybe you're thinking about putting more energy into it, taking it full time, whatever it might be. You know, and then you have to be able to put inputs into this. There's moving parts and pieces. What I have struggled with is, me personally, balance between all of these different aspects of my life. And there are times that we're going to pay attention more to the relationship with our wife or our girlfriends or significant others, our kids, having fun in the summertime, going camping, going on vacation, you know, catching up with family, barbecues and things like that. You know, the job has always got to be there. Maybe some of us get 2 weeks paid off a year. Maybe we don't have paid vacation. You know, all those things. Maybe you haven't been putting a lot of time into your hobby or your business that you're trying to start. Energy goes where attention flows. So for me, what really started to clarify was that I realized, you know, that I can balance a lot of this fairly well and come up with somewhat of a routine that works for everybody. I'm fairly adaptable with change. We all struggle with it to a degree. Some of us are better at it than others. But when it comes down to it, you have to make time for each and one of these, every one of these things in your life. Because if you don't, the law of entropy will kick in and these things will start to fade and the quality of these things will not be as good. Your relationship with your wife or your significant other will suffer to a degree if you guys don't connect on a regular basis, have conversations, check in with each other, have a few minutes after, you know, if you just completely always just do the same routine, go to sleep after the kids are in bed, you don't really take some time out to invest in each other, obviously that relationship is going to suffer. Same thing with your job. Obviously, if you call in sick too much, they're going to get a little perturbed, things like that. You're not going to get your working credits, so on and so forth. So you have a certain amount of inputs that have to go into these to maintain these. Same thing for this. All these categories of this have those things. But this is quite a few hats already. And I think a lot of people juggle these basics. Obviously, a job or a career. So, a home relationship with family and a significant other. That's kind of included in the home. That has a lot more working pieces if you kind of look at the bigger umbrella of it. Not everybody likes to go out and have fun. Some people are very introverted and don't do that a lot. So this category may exist or may not to a different degree. This is for me, this is kind of a flexible one. I don't really have a lot of external friends that I go hang out with. So for me, this one is somewhat there, but it's extremely far and few between. But for me, is usually being a parent and having kids, maintaining my home relationship, obviously myself, my job or my career that I have for right now, to keep my income coming in. And the last couple of years, really getting the business up and started. This has been one of the biggest struggles for me, right here. And I have changed the aspect of it several times. Not that that's a bad thing, but what really makes sense, what really started to make sense, and why this came to me is the fact that all these moving parts and pieces take time, energy, effort, resources, all those things, right? But when it comes down to it, I have to be able to delegate when and where I'm putting my time, energy, resources, interests, all those things. And by doing so, it can really wear you thin. And what happens is you start neglecting other areas of your life and they start falling apart. And then you might come back to it. And for me, I've gone through phases in my personal development where I've literally neglected something, but yet I'm invested in it through whether it be financial resources or whatever it might be. And I lack the consistency. And then I might want to change it or do something different, and things like that. But what this really gave me clarity is I need to focus on pretty much one thing at a time. Because I'm building a business, but yet part of my journey has been experimenting with podcasting and YouTubing and things like that. And that could be a whole nother business opportunity and things like that. But that has its own set of working parts and pieces. What I'm learning is if it's structured correctly, they could actually fit together. But at the same time, it's a completely different set of skills, delivery, energy, all these things. Excuse me. And for me, I'm finding myself being torn between being invested and structured in what I'm doing and seeing the potential in this. But at the same time, it still feels like somewhat of a hobby. And I've gone back and forth, talking myself into it, talking myself out of it. And then I learn that I'm really not getting anywhere with either one of these things. But yet, these are always constant. I will always have these things in my life. So, what this had me realize is if these are always going to be constant, I may not always have the job, but I will always need income. So if at some point my business gets to the point where I can let my daily job go, obviously my business will then take that. But this category of having income coming in will always exist. So whether it's a job or a business, that's good. But I will always have the relationship, I'll always be a parent and have kids. And this one, it goes back and forth. This is not too big of a concern for myself. Never has really been, although, it goes in phases. So this one is flexible, and I personally accept that. Other people, it might carry more importance. There really is no right or wrong answer. Some people may put a total amount in one category or the other, and that is personal choice. But between these two, what this did for me is it clarified that I need to eliminate or figure out how to effectively reduce the number of moving parts and pieces and either combine or eliminate one of these pieces of this overall ginormous puzzle. So by drawing this out, this is pretty much what I saw, but by drawing this out and seeing this, it helped me gain clarity in the point that by stewing on this and being torn and going back and forth between these two things, I'm really not getting a lot done. I hope this really helps because it helped me tremendously. It was like a light bulb switching on in my head. I'm still in a little bit of a reflection period about it, and it will come to at some point, but I already pretty much know where my decision lies. Now it's a matter of implementing it because I kind of got thrown off track. Not off track, not really, but because I've been in a period of introspection, I'm having to kind of step back into where I was before. And it's a little weird. So these are just personal feelings and things that I'm having to go through and reflect on. But I would really urge you, if you need to write these things out. What does it take to keep your job fulfilled or your career? What kind of things do you need to maintain on a regular basis? Are you wanting to date your wife weekly or monthly? Is that a consistent, constant thing? Does she need something regularly from you? Whether it be a verbal, I love you every day, or, what are the moving parts and pieces that need to maintain your relationships with your kids, with your significant other or your spouse, your friends and family? Write these things out. Try and simplify them as much as possible. And then really get clear and organized. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm at the realization, and now I'm going to be stepping into implementation. So I hope this has helped. Please leave comments or reach me directly if you think this has helped you. Insights, I welcome all those things and feedback. And if we can help each other get clear and motivated and stay on track or be accountable to things, then let's do that too. Again, my name is Norman Stickle, and thank you guys for watching.